Korra's relationships are either too close, making her come across as overly privileged, or start out too distant, not creating the emotional impact that the series needs, or the proper setup. The second biggest flaw is Korra not contacting her past lives when she should have, also hurting the emotional impact. Changing the opening to the series to Korra being kidnapped as a child would have created more tension, fixed most of the plot holes, and would have provided better setup for the characters' relationships, making the series much stronger. The other problems outside of this, a lot of people don't seem to realize that these were problems just as much in Korra as in the original series. In fact, I'm gonna argue some of the consistent flaws were even worse in the original series. Get angry at me all you want for saying this, at least The Legend of Korra actually resolved its romantic and family plot threads within the show itself, not the spin-off comics.
Hey, that's mildly adequate.
People assumed the Lion Turtles and Korra retconned Avatar's lore, when in reality they weren't developed enough to begin with, as they threw a wrench into a lot of things before Korra ever came along. I think it's great they could come up with a way to make Aang take down the Fire Lord peacefully, and the designs of the Lion Turtles were creative. But Aang had to work for everything else in the series, yet not for the energy bending. The Lion Turtles need a lot more implementation into other parts of the plot in order to justify their existence. The only foreshadowing we even got was Aang looking at a picture of the Lion Turtles in Wan Shi Tong's library. Aang could have heard stories growing up about the Lion Turtles and told them to his friends throughout the series, and could have come across them in his dreams, as they were already important to the plot. The Lion Turtles could have communicated to Aang in his dreams that he wasn't ready to hold this power yet, and then give it to him when he had proven himself. Once again, the fact that the Lion Turtles, along with most of the spirits, can speak, takes away the illusion that they're supposed to be from another world. Also this. The Lion Turtles and the family and romantic plot threads would be two of the few things that I would go back and change from the original series. What's the other thing you might be asking?
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture.
Katara isn't a horrible character, and I understand why many people love her. Katara for once is a girl who wasn't just there as a love interest, she was a character who just happened to be a love interest. But she's the most inconsistent character out of the whole main cast. I can understand a person can be two different things, but Katara's angry outbursts, making her look childish, goes against her motherly personality, with very little overlap. When Korra gets angry, it's always because she is frustrated. Katara's source of anger tends to be all over the place. When someone isn't listening to her, not getting her way, not wanting her friends to get hurt, or because someone has wronged her.
But Katara is a better written character than Korra.
Well, maybe if she's that inconsistent and her anger problems are that underdeveloped, maybe she's not as well written as you thought. So, if The Legend of Korra has this many flaws, why do I like it? The same reason I liked Avatar. It's well-written child characters, it's well-choreographed fight scenes, and the base of each of these characters aren't bad, but I believe they can do better. Season 3 and 4 actually improved with its setup and pacing. Season 4 covered the topic of mental illness with respect, which is very rare in media. At the end of the day, The Legend of Korra was made by the same people, and it didn't go out of its way to be as disrespectful as it possibly could with its source material or the original fans, unlike the Star Wars sequels. So excuse me for seeing all the fighting between these supposedly two different fan bases to be a rather fruitless venture. So why did I make this series to begin with? I was working on a fan comic for The Legend of Korra about a girl named Reba who is a non-bender who works as a double agent for Amon and Tarlok, and I was having trouble finding direction at many points. So I went back and rewatched Korra and found where I was struggling to find direction. It wasn't just that Korra had flaws that I couldn't work with, but I underestimated the work that needed to go into it. I made this series not just to defend Korra, but to provide myself a template for my own work that I'll continue after this.
So, you're a fan fiction writer?
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere. And what, you really think Amon and Tarlok are above hiring a double agent? Even though I plan to put most of these ideas into my own work, it would still be cool if they made a reboot for Korra. I would recommend using open source software to cut down costs. Considering all these options and the fact that Avatar found great success on Netflix,
That one didn't age quite so well.
and Justice League got a new cut, and the mixed reviews for Korra, well, there is really no excuse at this point. I want The Legend of Korra to be remembered as the masterpiece it should have been, alongside its predecessor.
But there's no way Viacom or Mike and Brian are going to listen to your feedback.
Well, fine, if you don't want my money.
Money?
Let me tell you about my GPA, 4.0 straight A's, and I don't give a fuck. Let me tell you about my resume, it's so cray, it's insane, and I don't give a fuck. And my boyfriend, he's so hot, and the car that he bought me is I don't give a fuck. And my ooh la la, my blah blah blah, and I don't give a fuck.